When we think about cruelty toward animals, we usually imagine something obvious: a weapon, a trap, or an animal being deliberately harmed. But sometimes it happens because of what we take away from an animal. In case of capybaras, the very thing that makes them popular can create problems we don't notice. In this video, I'm going to look at the 4 different forms of threat that capybaras face daily, starting with the ones that are the easiest to overlook, and ending with the one that everyone already recognizes. Viral narratives, memes, entertainment. Would you call any of these cruelty? Most viewers would probably answer no. Without knowing how capybaras naturally behave or what they need to feel safe, the welfare problems in these clips can go unnoticed. For people familiar with capybara biology and welfare, however, many of these clips are outright abuse. Many of the behaviors that look fun or amusing to some viewers actually indicate situations where the animals have no control over their environment or unable to express their natural behaviors. The problem isn't whether someone enjoys watching these clips. It's where these clips become the priority of making conclusions and perceptions on an animal, whose life is actually way more complex and different if you look at the work of researchers who studied them. The thing is, most of these clips are recorded in countries where animal welfare standards are severely low. And this leads us to the next type of threat. Places that allow people to see capybaras don't automatically mean those animals are being cared for properly. People's desire to only wanted to be entertained by capybaras resulted in horrible consequences for them worldwide. Countless cafes and zoos with poor welfare keep capybaras in captivity without ensuring their basic welfare requirements, which include a large grazing space with grass, deep pool and shelter, mud wallow, and herd mates. Capybaras can live up to 15 years in captivity in the most ideal welfare requirements. In these cafes, sadly, there aren't living more than 3 to 5 years. The best thing we can do is to show as little support to these places as possible. Human exploitation doesn't just affect them in captivity, but wild native populations as well. In some areas of South America, where capybaras live in the wild, people developed a gated community. Nordelta, a huge luxury gated community built just north of Buenos Aires, and it wasn't built on empty land. It was developed directly on top of the wetlands of the Paraná River. Developers closed off a huge area, killed off all apex predators, and drained these wetlands. As a result of this, capybara populations drastically started to increase. Capybaras didn't invade an urban space. Their natural environment was replaced by luxury lawns, and they stayed where they have always lived. Instead of restoring areas of the wetlands, people began using tranquilizer darts to administer vaccines. They framed it as a non-lethal solution to control the population of the capybaras. However, animal rights groups and environmental researchers see it for what it truly is: just another cruel method of removing the animals from their homes, and another excuse for blaming the animals rather than restoring the wetlands. But this just got worse later. People have reported that some drivers, many times intentionally accelerating toward herds, Because the capybaras have been framed in local community forums as giant invasive pests. This isn't just a housing development issue anymore, but a targeted hostile campaign of ecosystem destruction. As we go from accidents to intentional acts, we're slowly going to approach the last type of threat that everyone recognizes. Most people think this is where cruelty begins, but in reality, this is just the most obvious one. Sport hunting. When killing an animal becomes a recreation, wildlife can become a little more than just a target. Something to pursue, overpower. Hunting for genuine substance, for finding food for survival, is different. But when the motivation is entertainment, status, or simply the desire to kill, the animal's life becomes absolutely meaningless to the human, and their desire is just to take it. Even today, recent posts from social media has begun to report more actions about people setting up traps to capture animals or even deliberately harm them. The goal with this video isn't to make you hate hunters, bad zoos, cafes, developers, or people who enjoy capybara content. It's to help you recognize what you might not have noticed before. Protecting capybaras starts with understanding what they need, their behavior, the environments, the things we share, support, and normalize. You don't have to become an expert to make a difference. You can learn before sharing a viral clip. Question whether an interaction is actually good for the animal. Support responsible conservation. You can help someone to see a capybara as an animal with needs rather than just an internet icon. Capybaras don't need memes or more outrage. They need more people willing to understand them.